So it is September 10th, 2023. And as a good investor, I'm trying to find a sector that is on the rise, a sector that's going to do well here late in 2023 and into 2024. And I'd like to take a look at the energy sector. If you haven't noticed, energy has been going up. The price per barrel of oil has really gone up. It's gone up about $15 over the last month and a half, 2 months. So I wanted to take a look at the energy sector and see if it's a good industry to really start putting more capital into. A couple of things going on with this sector. First, it's underperforming the S&P if you compare it year to date. A big part of that is, technology has just been running away with the number one sector overall. And energy, oil prices in the midsummer and in the early, I guess, the late spring, oil prices were quite low. They were getting down to about $60 a barrel, but now they're up to about $87 a barrel. So things have changed since that late spring and summer. The energy sector pays high dividends, which is really nice. And as mentioned, rising values. So as oil prices go up, it's not expected they're going to come down. In fact, now that China's out of their COVID related, I guess, recession, and they're beginning to really get back to full production, they're consuming more oil. Saudi Arabia is cutting back their production. Saudi Arabia is the biggest producer of oil. And then last, Russia's at war with Ukraine. Russia's a big producer of oil, and the world is shunning Russia, and there's a lot of restrictions on buying Russian oil. So I think there's some pressure on the supply of oil, and there's more demand for oil. So I think rising value means that, barrel prices are going to continue to go up, and that's going to raise the value of energy companies. Taking a more closer look at where the S&P is at and how it's been doing over the last month, it's lost some value. We had a pretty rough August, and now we're into September, and the jury's still out on September whether it's going to be a positive or negative month. But it was kind of a bad last month. Year to date, still doing good, 16.1%. So that's good. But if you look at energy, it's something interesting. Over the last month, it's up 5.5%. It's actually leading all sectors. So that whole oil move is really showing up in energy. Year to date, it's still lagging the S&P, but this is a sector that can really catch up. If you look at the 1 year, it's actually outperforming the S&P. Looking a little closer, just isolating oil, again, the last month, 5.6%, but the last 5 days, it's really rallied. And if you look at the last 3 months, 10.6. So it's really doing well, and it's on the rise. Some of the companies you may have heard of, I'm sure you have, is Exxon, Chevron, Shell, ConocoPhillips, Total, British Petroleum, Occidental. And Occidental is the stock that Warren Buffett has made a lot of money on. Here's a list of energy companies from the biggest ones, like the mega cap. Exxon, the biggest one, is way up here. And I'm sure you've heard of Exxon. And a list of the companies from Exxon, Chevron, down to Phillips 66. There's also international, way to diversify internationally. Here's an oil company down in Brazil. You can diversify into Canada. And here's a company that is located in Norway. So oil or energy gives you an opportunity, obviously, to buy some of these big mega cap companies, but also diversify around the world. An energy company that I own is Chevron, and I've owned it for a long time, and I'm glad that I own it. For year to date, it's down 3.9%. But again, since July, it's up more than 10%. So it's had a really nice rally as of late. It pays a nice dividend of 3.61%. And I'm glad that I own it, especially as oil prices go up. I always buy on dips. So I've been buying all these dips, kind of loading up on shares. And right now, I'm kind of letting that stock run. Looking at the chart for 1 year for the top 7 companies that are in the energy sector, it looks like Total had the best return if we look at the full year. Exxon had the third best return, and British Petroleum had a nice return of 22%. And again, all these companies pay a really high dividend. So you get rewarded two ways. As if you buy at the right times, you see your investment rise in value, and while you hold the stock, you get paid a really nice dividend. The energy sector is really picking up value, so I'm glad I'm an investor, and I'm going to continue to invest in it. I think there's more room for it to go up, especially if oil prices hold at mid 80s and even go into the 90s. Oil companies are just really profitable above $60 a barrel. So right now, for the third quarter of 2023, these energy companies are going to come out with earnings at the end of Q3 that are really going to impress investors. So I'm looking at very good Q3 results, likely very good Q4 results. So it's the move kind of began to start. The move in oil prices began about a month and a half ago, but I think it's still moving. And I'm still looking to buy additional shares of Chevron, and as well as some other companies that I'm evaluating. So that's my review of the energy sector. I hope you found it interesting. Do me a big favor and like my video, and also subscribe to my channel. I'd really appreciate that. With that, good luck investing in 2023.